All right, Love Wins by the Stewards. Come on back, baby. Join us. Join us. You are our show producer. Glad to have you with us, Shanetta.
Yeah.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Love Wins by the Stewards. Welcome, 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 welcome. Are we on live? Are we ready to go, baby?
We're ready.
I'm your host, B Level.
I'm your girl, Netta.
And this evening, we start our series of, I'm sorry. I'm trying to make sure my stuff is recording and it's at the right level, right? Yeah. So tonight we start our series that we're doing about couples and just relationships, right?
Right, for sure.
So tonight we have Pine Bluff's favorites with us, right? Or Pine Bluff's finest, right? Yes. One of them with us. We have joining us tonight Mr. and Mrs. Burls, which is Danny and Dovey Burls.
Hello.
Round of applause for them.
Sound. That's a sound. How do you make the sound?
What?
The round of applause sound?
I can't do that. I can't do that. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
So we've been waiting. I can tell you that you guys are one of Shanetta's favorites.
Oh,
and so we wanted to. I need to bring this down, babe, just to make sure their levels are fine before we get all too far. And you're one of Shanetta's favorites in Pine Bluff, and so we wanted to start with somebody.
Not anybody else there.
We wanted to start with Pine Bluff's favorites or finest, and so we wanted you guys to come on. Mr. Burls, can I get a mic check over there with you again?
Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. 3.
Listen to that sexy voice.
Isn't that something? You want me to do mine like that?
Mrs. Burls?
Mic check 1 2.
Okay, so I need to go here with Mr. Okay, there you go. That sounds better. All right, so tonight we're just going to have discussions about just relationship, and you guys just celebrated 33 years,
That's
right?
amazing.
That is a long time. Big round of applause for you guys.
Thank you.
That's
How
awesome.
old were you guys when you got married? Like 2?
Here we go.
Like how old
I
were
was
you guys
2,
when you got
and
you
he
got married?
was 22.
So, what's your ages again when you got married?
I was 18, and he was 24.
Wow. You
Wow.
guys look awesome. You look
Thank
great,
you.
right?
Thank you.
Listen, I had something to look forward to.
So I've been with him most of my life.
Oh, that's even better.
That's a blessing.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
yes.
absolutely.
That's a
for
blessing.
Yeah.
So being with this woman for 33 years, Mr. Burls. You
can just call me Danny.
Okay, Danny. Okay, Danny and Dovey. It's all right to call you Danny and Dovey.
Yeah.
All right.
So what I little that I know about you from being around you, I actually attended your festival at your home, which was top notch, above standard. It was awesome. I hardly take off on a Saturday night to go anywhere because I'm always running this nightclub.
Yes.
But the wife made me take off so that we could attend your festival, and it was called the
Summer Breeze Festival.
Summer Breeze Festival, right?
It was nice.
And it was at your home.
It was at our home.
And you had everybody singing there. You had vendors.
Yes.
You had a bouncy for the kids.
Yes.
You could drop. You had a daycare there.
Yes.
And
Pretty much.
You guys have like 33 acres. I've been just lying on how many acres y'all got. I've been
Did you
just
guys
telling
watch the
everybody you got like
last
33 acres.
He's been telling everybody it was like 33 acres.
The Burls have like 33 acres in their home, right? You know what I'm saying? They own half of Pine Bluff, and we were partying at their home. I guess a month ago. Has it been?
It was almost a month ago. Yes.
And we had an awesome
It was amazing.
time.
It seriously was. It was amazing.
We also had the health department who came and gave free COVID vaccinations too. So
Yes,
for the community.
And my wife has been giving you a PSA about. You want to start, baby, about your please everybody get vaccinated. I mean, she says it every podcast.
Yes, I do say it because I tell everybody I was really on the fence. I was really on the fence about getting vaccinated because I'm like, listen, I hadn't been testing long enough. I don't know if FDA, they approved. Did they approve it? Was it approved by FDA?
No, I think
I think they.
I read something on ABC that is about to get approved.
Yeah, I was like, no. So then I finally decided. I think I made a post on Facebook that said, I think the thing that struck with me was when it said that the babies were passing away. So the babies were passing away, and then I have children that's 12 and older. So I couldn't mandate them to get the vaccine and I not get it myself. So it's like, okay, yes, I have to do this for myself and my family. And
so you guys gave COVID shot on the people that attended. They could get. Was it free? Was it a charge?
No, it was free. Wow. Absolutely free.
How many people you think took advantage of that?
I don't know, but the thing for us was that we provided for the community and do our part.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we definitely got on board when we had the opportunity to get our vaccinations. So
real quick, we're streaming live on all of our Facebook pages, which is Shanetta Stewart, Brian Stewart, Danny. Did you request?
I sent the
Danny
request.
Burls and Dovey Burls. So we are very interactive. So how are we going to get the questions that are on their page though? If they just will it stream here?
It should, yes. Because they're all tagged to it. Everyone's tagged to it. So
all right, so we want our podcast to be very interactive, and that's the reason why we go live. I'm actually going live on Instagram as well. If you have questions that you would like us to answer, you can chime in. This podcast is very interactive. It's, if you got questions, we started this thing by just trying to help relationships out, right? And so the wife and I just found out the same things that we were struggling with, most couples struggle with. So we start this podcast to help people stay together, right? So our series are just dealing with relationships. And so what better to start with a couple that have been together 33 years. Would you tell them where they can hear the podcast at?
I was typing, sorry. So you can listen to us on any podcast app, station, channel, YouTube. All you have to do is search for Loved Ones by the Stewarts, and you can find us everywhere. Like, we're seriously everywhere. So I say this every season. You guys are the reason why we're so nationally syndicated, and Brian does not want to sell the rights to anybody of the podcast. He's just being selfish. Nevertheless, you can find us on any podcast channel. Again, Loved Ones by the Stewart, and then you can also get the visual on YouTube it's Brian Stewart Sr.
Brian Stewart Sr., Brian with the Y. All right.
And I think that's it.
So that's it. And so our sponsors, this is our first time broadcasting back in the Empire Studios. We have been at home for almost 2 years. I am so glad to get out of my house and see some people. You guys are our first guests back. We've all had our COVID shot, right?
Yes, that is
correct. So I guess we don't have to be six feet apart. But
for those that's gonna ask.
Yes, we all been vaccinated, right?
Yes.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So my question is one of the first questions that we have out of the gate. Like, the wife and I want to be together for longer than 33 years.
Yes.
Give me the keys to staying together for a very long time.
Yes.
And I guess we'll let the ladies first, right? The ladies go first. So what do you think the key is for you guys lasting 33 years, if you had to sum it up?
I think the title of your broadcast says it all. Love wins.
Absolutely.
Love wins. And so if I can just bring meaning to that. So Danny and I met and married. I was very young. So I grew up with him pretty much. And I've been with him most of my life, and definitely longer than I was even at home with my parents. So in our early years of marriage, I thought a marriage was that you connected with your soulmate. That was the person that you were supposed to spend the rest of your life with, and that you all did everything together, and there was just no separate identities. And so I loved him in the beginning, and I call it an immature love. Now that I'm older and I know love in a whole different way, but I loved him so immaturely that that type of love brought about some jealousies. It brought about some envies, some I guess you would say. Activities and decisions that I definitely know better than now. And so learning and growing in the maturity of what love really means, I learned to like my husband, because there was definitely a time when I did not like him. Okay. But learning to love him for who he is as a man, allowing him to be that without me trying to change him to who I wanted him to be. Because I think I really intertwined that with what I thought a husband would be. And sometimes we can take away the character of a man trying to make him be the husband that we want.
That's true.
Okay.
Right.
And so, as we grew in our marriage and love, and I really began to like him and who he was and what he stood for, not only as a man, but as my husband. And so I believe I believe that a husband is supposed to provide protection. He's supposed to be a provider and safety at all costs. And I'm going to stick with those three words probably throughout this podcast, because it's really going to open up who we really are and how we got to where we are. So, all right.
Wow. Okay.
Danny, what do you think?
Can
What do
you
you
top
think?
that?
And I think I need to turn the air down.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, can he top that? Can you top that description?
Well, I won't try to top that description.
Okay.
But
That's fair.
what I will do is give the analogy when we first got married, as maybe you said you had children, right? And your kids play softball, baseball, basketball. Okay, I'm gonna use the analogy that when we first got married, we were t-ball players.
Yeah.
Anybody know anything about baseball and t-ball? T-ball players can't tie their shoes right. And instead of running the first base, they run the third. Sometimes they throw their helmet up in the bleachers and put their glove on their head, and just trying to really understand the game. We were, as she stated, I was 23, turning 24. Let me correct that.
Okay.
And she was 18. We were t-ball players. We were learning the game. We were learning the game of marriage. It was a reason that grandmama and granddaddy said you don't have to rush to get married, because they had the knowledge and the understanding that sometimes as young adults you don't have all the tools in your tool belt to make that huge of a step. So we did t-ball things when we were married, first couple of years, as she stated. And then we went to the pitch machine. We got a little better. And then from there we went to the fast pitch. And then we went to high school ball. And then we went to collegiate. And now we're professionals.
Come on, baby.
In the game. So, through all those stages and through all those years, and you'll hear me refer to this a lot during this podcast, chapters in our life bring different different meaning, bring different challenges, and I think so. To answer your question, I think starting off, we were t-ball players, learning to love the game, and now we're professionals.
Where did you guys meet?
I like that metaphor.
This is
like
gonna be
that.
a good one. Get her version first.
Oh, okay. Here we are.
So,
Are there two versions?
Oh yeah, it's could probably be two versions of everything today.
so
I have to call my kids and get them to clear it up. But
We do
yeah.
the same. It's okay.
Yeah.
So I was attending the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff as a freshman, and this guy who had graduated from the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, whose name happened to be Danny Burls, would always be on the campus. And for some reason, he would always find my car or wherever I was. And I thought he was stalking me.
Oh,
And so,
so this is where it's different. I can tell this is when it changes. Okay.
yeah, so anyway, I was very good friends with one of his fraternity brothers, and who I used to sing with in the choir. And so they would hang out a lot. And so Danny, I would always see my husband with either that guy and a lot of his fraternity brothers who were also in the choir as well. So Danny did graduate on time. All of them were professional college students. And they were
Thank
still
you.
there.
This is
So
hilarious.
is your version any different from that, Danny?
Well,
Started off.
The question was,
Where did y'all meet?
where did we meet?
Right.
Okay. I don't consider that meeting me seeing her. We met when she flagged my car down, her car full of her friends.
Oh, see, that's where I knew it was going to change.
I was going through the campus, coming from work, in my uniform, and they flagged the car down. So any young man, 23, 4 young ladies flagged the car down. I immediately jumped out the car.
He thought heaven
Ran
had opened
around,
up.
and when I saw 4 beautiful, it might have been 5, 4 beautiful young ladies in the car, I just was like, whoa.
Which one do I
Which
want?
one?
Well, he didn't see me though in the back of the car.
Which one was flagging me down?
Mine and more.
So then all of a sudden, Dovey's head pop out and said, what are you doing tonight?
I did. That's
I
the
said,
truth.
I'm going to the club like I do every night. You going? You coming? I'll meet you there. And we've been together ever since.
Wow.
Yeah, we did. That's a true story. So we sat in the parking lot of PJ's
Till
the sun came up, and I knew that he was going to be my husband.
Really?
I knew he was going to be my husband.
So that's how we met. The other one I've seen her a couple of times, but that's really how we met.
Yeah,
So you knew the first day you met him.
I knew he was going to be my husband.
Wow.
I did.
Baby has an interesting story like that, right?
It's not interesting. It's kind of the same story.
It's a very interesting. I don't know if
It
they've
is.
heard the
This
story.
is like, okay, this is what I call, I guess, like manifestation, I guess. I basically manifest this guy. So I've told this story 9 zillion times. It is his and I's, it's the same a little bit. So I came up here to a hair show. I was living in Palm Bluff at the time. So I came up here with a hair show with a friend. At the time, I think he was on air. He was an on-air personality.
Right.
And he was hosting this hair show. So I saw this guy come out on the stage, and he's just him, all this energy, and everybody just like, oh my gosh, this is a B level, oh my
Oh,
god.
she adds all of that.
So I'm just like,
Then it wasn't all that.
it was just that.
It was not
It was
all
just
that.
that. It was like, oh my god.
I believe you, Shanetta.
So I was like, who is this guy? And so he changed clothes like 3 times. He changed his outfit 3 times.
Okay.
And in each look, he looked really nice. And I was like, geez, this is a really nice little bow-legged little guy. So after I leave there, I go to the hospital to visit my mom because my mom's in the hospital. So I go visit my mom, and his sister's there. But I don't know if this is his sister. So she's in the hospital room talking to my mom, and I tell my mom.
It's my sister is your cousin.
My cousin, yes.
Right.
So, okay, y'all, this is not incest. I hate when
It's
you bring
okay.
that up.
We have some of that. It's okay.
So his sister is my cousin. So she's in the hospital room talking to my mom, and I'm telling my mom, like, Mom, I just went to this hair show, and I saw this guy, and he's gonna be my husband. Like, I'm gonna marry this guy.
Wow.
So she was like, what's his name? I was like, girl, I don't know. He was on the radio, blah blah blah. So as I'm telling her and describing this guy, his sister says,
I know him.
she's like, that's my brother.
Oh
And I'm like,
my.
what do you mean? She said, the guy that you're talking about is my brother. His name is Brian. So my mom then says, Shanetta, you don't remember Brian? I used to babysit him. I'm like, you know what? This is just lies and confusion. Even though I wasn't calling my mama a lie. God rest her soul, I was not calling you a lie, mama. So I'm like, no. She's like, yes, this is my brother. So she picks up the phone to call him, and she said he's not answering. I said, well, the show wasn't over. I left early. So she's finally speaks to him. So he invites me to an event that he was having. And I didn't go to this event. So years passed, and I never saw him again. It was like, maybe 3 or 4 years later? I never saw him after that time. And then I ended up seeing him coming to an event downtown.
Yeah.
And he walks up to me, and he's just this kind of Rico Suave guy, right? So he walks up to me, and he says, hey, how are you? And I'm like, I'm good. How are you? And he said, good. And I said, you don't know who I am? And he said, no, I don't. And I was like, I'm your cousin. And so he was like, my cousin? How you my cousin? And I was like, so your sister. So I said his sister's name. And he said, yeah. I said, well, that's my cousin. And he was like, well, how? So I'm explaining it to him. I was like, well, her dad is like my uncle. Like, he was like, no, we have different daddies.
No,
We
that's
don't
not
have
what I said. Tell a story. So let me tell it, Danny, because this where it's different.
This way is different.
This is
Okay.
where it's different.
All right, here we go.
Let's
First of
hear your
all, the
version.
first
Right.
story in the hospital, when she manifested I was going to be a husband
I
to
did
her
that.
mom,
I did that.
she was married at the time.
I was married.
Okay.
I was.
So her mom was like, how the hell he going to be your husband?
Okay.
And you married.
Okay.
Right.
All right. But anyway, I'm rolling with that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I left that part out, y'all.
Yeah, she left
It's
that part
okay.
out.
It's okay.
And the
She
second
didn't
part.
like him.
I did not.
Oh, okay. Then.
So, and then the second part, I'm like, she said she's my cousin. I'm like, so how are you my cousin? And she said, well, Shell's dad and my mom are sisters and brother. And I said, well, hell, Shell and I got different daddies. You ain't my damn cousin. you don't be trying to. You finna go out with me. Don't be talking about you. Don't be trying to claim me. You ain't my cousin. So that's our meeting story.
All right.
And
all right.
similar in practices of, because I promise, like when he and I really kind of got together, because he kind of pursued me for a year, so it was almost kind of like, kind of being in areas we were, and I'm just like, who is this guy? Like, he just kind of keep coming around. So he pursued me for like a year. And then after that year, I kind of gave him a chance. And from that night, that first time we got together, we never split up again.
That's correct.
It was very similar. So I was like, yeah, this guy. Because I had tested that I would never get married again. After my first marriage, I was like, I'm never getting married again. I'm just going to be a bachelorette forever. I don't want to do this anymore. I cannot. And then I kind of got into the dating pool, and it was worse than being married. And here's how I know this is just I just manifest this guy as my husband. So I said that when I saw him at the hair show. So after my divorce, I moved here, and I was dating. I put on Facebook. I still have the post there. I put on the Facebook. It was like 2012. I said, in 2013, I'm going to marry someone's son. And he and I got married in 2013.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, even though, which I was going to ask you that too, but even though I don't like him a lot of times, like, yeah, I chose this one. Or he chose me.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's it.
So is this, you've been married before?
No.
So you got Danny?
She said they
Oh,
grew
no,
up
sir.
together.
Okay. Okay. So
grew
the only
up.
marriage, all right? Do you guys have children?
Yes.
Yes.
How many children do you have?
We have.
I defer.
Well, because
Oh, is this answer gonna be different?
I defer. This is gonna be every question. This is gonna be a good
Somebody
one.
got some side keys?
let me tell you, yes.
Defer.
Okay.
Oh boy! Now here's the interesting stuff. Let's get into it.
But we can't talk about our marriage and relationship without talking about all the parts that go with it.
Yeah.
So we have 2 children together that we birthed together. Okay.
Okay.
We have a son we raised.
Okay.
All right. Who was my daughter's best friend in the 6th grade, 7th grade. And we took him in and we raised him.
Cool.
And we don't treat him any different.
Right.
And then in 2013, December of 2013, on Christmas Eve, we met our oldest son, which is my husband's son. He was given up for adoption at birth. Mom never told Danny she had a son by him. And he began to look for his real parents, and we happened to be one set of them.
Wow.
How old was he at the time? How old was he when
He
they...
wa at the time, he was 27 when we met him.
Oh,
He was
wow.
27.
Okay.
So you had a relationship with somebody before you met Dovey, right?
Several.
A lot
well,
of them.
So this particular didn't know that a son came out of that relationship. You moved on.
Well, that wasn't. Yes,
It just happened.
it really wasn't a
It
relationship.
wasn't a
That
relationship.
wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
It was
weren't-
like a yum yum bouncy bounce.
Yum yum. That's
Yes.
I wanted
What
to
was
say
that?
that while I was on this
What was
podcast.
that called again?
A yum yum bouncy bounce.
Like
A yum
yum yum
Bouncy
bouncy
bounce.
bounce. We just
bouncy bounce.
yum yum bouncy and go on about your
Right.
business.
Oh, I never heard it put that. Yum yum
Bouncy bounce.
bouncy bounce.
That was a yum. Just
Yum, yum.
doing it. Just doing
Bouncy
it.
bounce.
Baby, you don't even sound right.
Yum
saying
yum.
it.
Bouncy
Bouncy
bounce.
bounce. So totally 4 children.
4 children, yes.
And how many boys and how many girls?
3
3 boys, 1 girl.
3 girls. Okay. 3 boys, 1 girl.
Amazing.
Okay.
Yes.
And by the way, does that son have the Burls last name?
No,
Does not.
Okay. He does not have that Burls last name. Okay.
but he looked just like a Burl.
Okay.
Probably
Can't
more,
deny it.
No, probably
Can't
more
deny.
When
like
I
him
first
than
time
any
I saw
of-
him, I'm
okay.
like, son.
And I was like, Celie on Color Purple, this here's your daddy. And this your sister. I'm your stepmom.
Oh my goodness.
Are you guys born and raised in Pine Bluff? You both from Pine Bluff?
No,
No,
Okay. Where are you from?
Little Rock.
Okay.
and I was born and raised in Pine Bluff.
Okay.
Take the notification off. I'm going to ask you guys something because I say it all the time, and I just heard Ms. Burls say, turn that off on my phone. I just heard her say, yes, the notification is pausing. I heard you say that, of course, you loved your husband and you grew with him, but you didn't like him at times. I say that a lot about. I don't think people understand that because I always hear people ask the question, loving someone, being in love, and those are the only two things. Those are the only two ways they seem to classify. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Those are the only two ways they seem to classify loving somebody or not loving them. It's just asking, are you in love or do you just love that person? But I never really hear too many people use the phrase what you just said. It's what I say all the time. I did not like him. There were just times where I just did not like him. It didn't deflect how much I loved him or was in love with him. I just did not like him.
Yes.
So what does that mean? What does that mean when you say that?
For me, when I didn't like him, I felt like we moved away from those things that really used to turn us on.
Okay.
Those innuendos that were the kickers for relationships, like you get butterflies when you pull up.
Yeah.
You know. I love to see him laugh. His smile is beautiful to me. Okay. And so I began not to see those things. I began not to see his smile anymore. I began, when he pulled up sometimes, he's home. Okay, those kinds of things. So for whatever caused that divide between like and love, it became festive, very, very festering. Okay. And so it also moved into so deep into our marriage that not only do you not like them again, but you almost feel like you don't love them anymore. Okay. So when you can get back to that place of remembering what was it about my husband that really did turn me on. So this is one of my favorite stories. When we actually did go to the club that night, but our first official date was supposed to be at church.
Okay.
Because I was a church girl. And he was supposed to meet me at the Baptist Student Union for a date. Well, he didn't show up on the inside. But when I came out, he was sitting outside in his car playing. Was it too short?
Okay.
What's my favorite word?
Oh, okay, right. That.
It was really cool Modi go see the doctor.
Okay, cool. Modi, go see the doctor. Okay, yeah. But I said that day, well, God, if I can get him to come outside, you work it and bring him on the inside. Okay. And so in our marriage, I really had to learn that there were things that's between God and man, man to man. Oh, I need to talk to the audience. Between man and man, and we as women can't fix.
Absolutely. I agree.
Okay. And so when I really began to understand that, then I also began to really like him again and love him. Okay. Because I was trying to fix things I couldn't. All right.
And
Now,
are you speaking of just his ways, right? You wanted to make him be different.
Correct. Correct.
And so that's where what I would have to jump in to say that during those chapters and during those times in our lives, once again, we were learning how to play
Absolutely.
the game of marriage and how to play the game of love and going to that picture machine era of our marriage to whereas kids are now in the picture, work,
Yes.
those three things that she named at first. What was those three things she named at first? Protection,
Providing and safety.
and safety. So when those things start kicking into a father's mind, he goes into a whole totally different gear.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, you now have to learn how to balance your love, life, work relationship
Yes.
while you still learning the game of marriage and providing those things, because those things are very essential and they are very needed. So now as a true man, when they take on those responsibilities, it goes into grind mode.
Yes.
If I got to work two jobs, I'm going to work two jobs
Yes.
to protect, to
Provide.
to do those things. If I got to work three, if I got to work two jobs and DJ at night, that's what I'm going to do. And get home at 3. And baby, where you been? I've been working. I've been grinding. I've been trying to provide. And so as you start growing from me, you, oochie, oochie, coochie, coochie,
Yum,
yum, yum, yum. And
Yes.
baby need Pampers.
Yeah.
Got to go buy some Similac. got one child that wasn't supposed to make it and stayed in the hospital 6 months.
Yeah.
And $2 million owed to the hospital. Your a man's mind kick into a whole different grind level. And so, with that being said, you know, it's still a growing process, and you're still learning.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I agree with everything she said. It was many days I didn't like myself because I had to do things that, you know, you hear your mom and daddy growing up all the time. I'm doing stuff that I would never have to do if I didn't. I got that. I got that.
I've heard that a lot of times.
I'm sacrificing and doing things I never thought I would have to do to make sure that all y'all are taken care of. So yes, I get it.
Yes.
So obviously, I can tell, Danny, that you are a man's man. You know what I mean? Just you know, and that's kind of what I am. And a lot of times, I get so caught up in providing and working and doing the things that God holds us accountable to do for our family, that the balance of being there to support my daughter, because I'm so focused on, you know, starting businesses and working so that they could have the financial piece, you know, trying to balance it and also be that everything to my daughter, which means I have to not work so much. I have to take her to basketball games. I have to show her how to date. I have to pour her that love. Shanetta's good with just bringing me back and say, okay, you've got this financial piece right? You've got the grind and making sure we're straight, but there's other aspects that I need you to have as the leader of our home. And so how do you balance that? Like, how do you make sure you don't be so caught up with providing and working and grinding that you lose the other part that may be important to Dovey or important to some of the babies? How do you balance that?
You want the truth?
I want the truth.
Okay. I'll give you the truth. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's impossible. But that's where your mate comes in, your soulmate comes in and make the balance. Yeah. Sometimes you got to work those 12, those 14s. There's no way around it.
Right.
Sometimes you can't take baby to rehearsal. Sometimes you go miss the recital. But mama go be at the recital. Sometimes it's going to be the other way around. She's going to have something, and there you go. So I think if we knew now, if we knew then what we know now, we would even play those cards differently. Yes. Because now we understand the whole cipher. We understand the whole 360. Right then, we only had half of the puzzle. Or right then, we were all trying to emulate some folks we saw and trying to figure it out. Once again, we were still pitch machine players, trying to play on the major league field. And it was too big.
It was very big.
And it was some of those things we didn't understand. And as we went through the test, now we got a testimony. You ain't got a testimony without test.
That's true.
Yes. Yeah. So I remember the kids started school one year, and he wasn't there to go with me to drop the kids off as we had done in the past. And I remember sitting in the car and just crying as the kids went into the school because
You said the first day, right?
the first day, because I wanted him to be there to watch the kids go into school on, their first day. And that was very difficult for me, learning to understand his grind. Okay. I walked out. We're gonna talk about it all. Okay. You're 16, I left. I couldn't do it anymore.
And when you walk out, so you're saying that
I walked out, took my kids with me, and left him there.
how long did you stay gone?
We stayed separated almost 3 years. Because
No, it wasn't.
well, let me tell why, babe.
It was 3 years.
Well, how long was it?
About a year.
It was longer than that. This is why, because you went to he was moved. My husband was a warden. Okay, so he was moved around a lot. So you went to Newport in that year, and we came and stayed 9 months. Okay, and then I left, and you stayed another 3 years, correct?
No, I'll stay there 2 more years.
Okay, well, 2. So it was almost
So
2
2 years.
Yeah, almost 2. This is how I knew that this. So I in my prayer, I said, God, whatever your will. Really, I said, God, you're going to have to come out the sky and tell me.
If you don't, That's me. That's me.
Because
Sit
I'm
on my
done.
shoulder.
Dovey is done. Okay. And he got a new assignment, and the assignment was 20 minutes up the road from home,
From
Pine Bluff.
okay,
From Pine Bluff, whereas he was 2.5 hours from us.
Wow.
Okay. Oh, he's lived as far as 3 hours, from us, almost 4. And so when he got this new assignment, I knew that God had answered what I asked. But he also taught me how to support that grind in our absenteeism and to appreciate what he was doing. Okay. In addition, God, he grew him in a way like I never saw him before.
while you were separated.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. My motto was, you can't tell me anything anymore. I need to see it. And when I say, this is gonna go. So someone inboxed me the other day and said, hey, who do you all have for your cable? Remember I asked you that? And I said, baby, who do we have for cable? Anyway, I said to her, honey, I don't know. Because I don't see a bill come in. You understand? Because my husband provides and he takes care of all those things. And I don't see bills. Okay? Because he handles that. All right? But that's what separation did for us. So when he came and said, I want my family, he not only said it, he showed it. But it also gave me a whole different respect and love for him like I never had before. We had moved from T-ball. Now, I knew then we had gone from T-ball to the next level of playing the game. Yeah.
But you stayed married. You didn't get a divorce.
No.
Through the separation.
I
is what I'm
quit
saying.
him, though.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, don't get it twisted.
What went into deciding not to make it final? What went into not saying we're going to divorce? You lived in separate homes.
We did.
You lived your life separately to a point, right?
Yes. Yes, we did. Let me speak for me. I can't speak for him, and he'll have to give his own version. For me, I didn't want anyone else raising my children. Absolutely not. I knew he was a great provider and great person. I knew that. Okay? I just needed him to learn the balance of putting us here, okay, instead of back here while he was trying to figure it out. But God also worked with me to teach me how to really support him and have his back through it all, okay? Because what I used to see was, yeah, I was tired. I had the kids all day. Yes, I had my own career. Yes, I was doing all that. But when my children would see their dad come through that door, that 15 minutes of fame was everything to them. Everything to them. And you know what it taught me? It didn't matter what I thought about it. It only mattered what our children thought. And so I had to really step back and allow him to be the father for those kids, our kids, in his own way. And I couldn't change that and make him who he was. And that was a big part of our problem. My problem. I can't speak for him, though. Yeah.
What do you think? What made you not divorce? What made
I've always wanted my family. I always wanted to raise my kids, and I was definitely totally against anything else happening other than that. So I was locked in on that. I was locked in on that, my family. So
and we said till death do us part. We renewed our vows and got remarried again. All right, at year 25.
Okay.
All right, at year 25. Now, Shanetta, you asked me a question. You know what is like? Year 25.
What was the question?
The question was how did I, to explain to her what like meant when I said I like my husband.
Okay.
Just kind of define that.
Yeah.
After year 25, so we actually got married at a Justice of Peace when we first got married. Okay. It was his 50th birthday party. I don't know how many people were at the party. Probably 600-700 people at the party. It was crazy. And he did this thing at the party. He surprised me. Had someone to come and steer me away, and while I was gone, he just had it planned out to redesign the room for a wedding. I didn't know. It blew me away. But the profession of his love before everybody that was there who were dearest to us, that did it for me. It did it for me. And so it said to me that I'm proving that I want this marriage and our family, and my love for you is so real, even after all we've been through. And I couldn't have. He's everything that I have prayed for all the years. Now,
that's so
just
sweet.
hang in there.
That's really sweet.
Yeah,
Listen, that is really fair. So people always assume that what my husband and I have now is a little pretentious because, first of all, my mom always said, like, don't say what happened in my house. Don't talk about nothing that happens in my home.
Yes.
So, of course, in our most troublesome times, I didn't feel the need to have to tell anyone that we were going through our hardest times. So because we, still during those times, I was still kind of, just advocate my love for him on social media. And he, we still go out and have this PDA during those rough times. And people know that we were having rough times. To them, it's pretentious. It's fake. For them, it's, because that he cheated and she cheated. And so it's just like, so how are they now where we are? And so it used to bother me a little bit, but it doesn't bother me as much now because I guess for me, it's what's really here. And so I say this so often because we've only been married not even 8 years yet. It'll be 8 years in November. But he and I have been through everything that that anybody could have gone through to get a divorce. When I say everything, financially, infidelity, the blending of families, anything that caused people to be standing before a divorce judge, we've been through that in this short length of time. And so I will be very honest, and that's why I'm so engulfed in what you're saying as it relates to supporting. I support his businesses. I support whatever he does. However, I have a very difficult time I'm spoiled. So
understood.
Spoiled in time with him. And it's just that. So I get it. Like I get this is your business, this is what you're doing, but I'm still like, hey, what about me? Like I'm still over here like, hey, you forgot about me.
But can I tell you something? He couldn't do this without you. I used to be the same way. And when I remember, amen.
Amen to again.
I used to be the same way. And remember I said when we first got married, I thought a marriage was you supposed to spend all your time together. And I'll never forget when my husband told me one day.
I know it's coming.
You know it's coming. I'm going to tell it.
Go.
I'm about to tell it. Yeah. But I remember when he told me one day.
I did say this.
Get you a life.
That's right.
That's what you said.
He did. He said,
I knew that was coming.
He did. He said, get you a life.
But let me
Wait, baby, let me
put a
finish
coat
it.
hang on that.
Okay.
Let me put a coat hanger on that for it's misunderstood.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what you were just saying. Once again, I'm moving. We got kids. I'm trying to get us solidified, trying to make the right moves. And my wife is clingy. She's clingy love. She wants that touchy-feely. And
they are very affectionate.
Yeah, I can't. Hey, baby, I'm at work. I'm at work. You ain't got to call me 19 times. Baby, I'm
but I wanted something 19 times.
Hey, look, okay, you know what? You got to get you something to do to keep you occupied, to keep you grounded. Because it ain't Danny. It can't be Danny. Because Danny got something he's got to do, not only for you, but these other 2 mouths we got to feed. So you got to find you that career, that love, that whatever, and I'm gonna support you 130%. But you got to find you something to help you get grounded because once again, it's not, what's that word you said again? Coochoo Lulu. Yum. Those chapters are closed.
Right.
Them chapters, them chapters gone and never coming back. But they go come back. But never coming back. I didn't think in those chapters that they were ever coming back. But they come back.
Yeah, they do.
We're going to get to that later. But those chapters are gone. It's not me and you. It's me, you, Denisha, and DeAndre, and your family and my family. And it's a big village now.
Yeah.
So we're not running around by ourselves. And forget that, and we can go do this by ourselves. And you know what? We ain't got to go over there for Christmas. We can go over here for Christmas. Or no, it's a big village now. So yes, go ahead, baby. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So as I was saying, he couldn't do what he does if he didn't have the support that he has. And so I'm going to try to make sense of this. You are a part of the intimacy lies every time he comes in this room. It's just a different way of being intimate. Okay. So it was just like my husband. I absolutely hated his career. Okay. Because I never knew if my husband was going to walk through those gates and come home. Okay.
That's hard.
But every job he has ever gone on, I walked through the gates on his first day and I walked out the gate with him on the last day. Every time he moved, every time, whether I wanted to or not. But I know that he had to have that support from me or he wouldn't have been able to sustain the way he did.
And let me show you what that also did. Not only did that show everybody that I was getting ready to supervise or deal with that she was in my corner, it showed me. You know what I'm saying? So that huggy, and that's what I need you attached to me on this journey. And then, okay, cool. Now let's make this. Let's go out here and win this game. Let's make it work.
And Shanetta and Brian, before I understood it, guess what I used to tell him? I'm just a trophy on your arm. I used to say,
Lord Jesus Christ.
I used to say that to him because I didn't understand how important the support was until I became an administrator and had to have the same support from him. Okay. So, but I used to say that.
That is, I've heard that.
Have you heard that?
If I had a dime for every time I've heard that.
What?
But
I'm you're just trophy.
Oh, okay.
So you just got me because I'm this trophy.
Well, you are a trophy. Beautiful trophy.
Absolutely.
Listen.
Yeah.
But
Act like you know.
the thing I want everybody to take out of what my wife has just said is that we had to figure out a way to blend it to make it work.
Absolutely.
It couldn't be all Danny. It couldn't be all Dovey. We had to figure out a way to blend it.
Yes.
To make it work in those chapters. Now we left T-ball playing and we're on pitcher machine now, so we learned some of the rules of the game. So we got to learn how to blend this thing now.
Yes.
And it's not just us. We got 2 kids. We got to learn how to blend this thing. So
Yeah.
I got a question for you. So somebody made this song called 50-50 Love. I don't know who made that, right?
Right.
But in my mind, I don't know that a 50-50 love exists, right? So in my mind, I think that there's always going to be someone that's going to love more than the other.
Well,
At different times.
At different times. In our marriage, I kind of felt like at the beginning I was doing most of the pulling. She was doing more of, and then at times I felt like she was doing, 60, I was doing 40. But somehow God always added it up to be 100.
So can I ask this question? You did say y'all have children, right?
Yes.
Okay, so their percentage is in that 100.
absolutely.
You got to present them in that 100.
Right.
Okay, so when you start presenting the kids' percentage in your 50-50,
Right.
Your percentage is going to drop way down.
Yep.
Okay, so it depends on how many children you're talking about. And once again, like I said, I'm just going to talk about us. My daughter, when she was born, she was a preemie. She weighed a pound. I could hold it in my hand.
Right.
So guess where that percentage went?
To her.
All the
Absolutely.
percentage.
Absolutely.
But my wife laid in the hospital for 2 months, and they didn't know if she was going to make it. So guess where that other percentage went? Thank God we had people in our corners.
Amen.
My son was down at his godparents' house. They kept him, so didn't have to worry about him.
Right.
So it depends on, I'm going to say it depends on the situation
Yes.
and what's needed.
Yes.
You go give the percentage to what's needed,
What's needed
at that time.
Absolutely.
If it's you that need it, the percentage go to you. If it's her that's needed,
Right.
it's go to her. If it's a kid that's needed, it's go to that kid. So that's a cute song. You sold millions, but realistically,
There is no
It's
50
not.
No.
it's
That's not 50-50.
it's go. The percentage gets broken up in the family. And what percentage? If you got a wayward child, you 100%. We finna try to straighten this child out.
Right. Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Don't come rub my hand.
Right.
What we
Got to figure this out.
We got to figure this out. Okay. and that one, we get that one straight. Now here's something going on with this one. What? We got to figure this out. So, and then we missed out on some percentages because they didn't ask to come here.
Yeah.
We brought them here.
That's true.
We better take care of them. We better do those things. So that's just me. I'm one of those people that, and we say this all the time. We go give the attention needed where it's needed at that time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
At that time to the person that needs it at that time.
I need it all the time. I'm joking.
Did you guys?
No, but I was gonna just say in that. So I want to I'm gonna go to two things. So that previous and then our previous conversation. So I'm gonna be very honest and transparent in. So as spoken. So he and I had infidelity. Like we kind of started in this thing so wrong. I'll be very honest. We started in just crazy wrong. So more recently, when he and I decided to really kind of just, hey, listen, like we're married, we have to do some stuff differently than what we were doing prior to this time, and kind of making those decisions. I felt like if I have him with me all the time, I don't have to worry about him going astray. If he calls, let me list his background to see if he's worse. So I felt like a lot of him not being around me was just, just, hey, now I can have a better. Then I got to the point where, okay, let me do the totally opposite. Totally opposite of that is just going about your business, I don't care, and I'm just going to be home. So I'm just now getting to the point of having a happy medium and dealing with that because and so I think it has a lot to do with now me building my trust factor back again because I'm like the trust is just wasn't there, but I'm trying to get there. But I would be very honest, I was really needy in those initial stages, initial moments, and I think he kind of had some too because I was I would come to the club often. Then I stopped coming, and then when I stopped coming, it's kind of when this incident happened. Then, after we decided to just kind of give our thing a try, he was like, "Okay, come to the club with me. I want you to be here with me. Let's work in this thing together.
This to be
Let's do
a
this
part
together."
of ours.
Yes.
You may bartend. I'm going.
Yes.
That's growth. That's
yes.
growth.
It is. It is.
So I'm just trying to to hear you guys, and I think for he and I, even though, as I said, we've only been married 7.5, almost 8 years, like we were married before. And so our marriages before was just sugar, honey, iced tea. So that's all we had as an example, if that makes sense. All that we had as an example to marriage was what we had prior to this time. So we're still almost like we're starting in the newborn phases. We're still in the newborn stages of learning each other.
We ain't got on the pitching machine. Well, we on the pitching machine. I don't know if
we're probably doing. We're beyond the slow pitch.
T-ball.
We're fast pitch.
We're on the pitching machine. We're on the fast pitch.
We're fast pitching now. Like
Well,
you have to wear a glove and guard your face.
If I can interject something there, I think one thing that happened with us, even when we were on the T-ball machine, we had great role models.
We did. We did.
We surrounded ourselves and didn't know it. It wasn't intentional.
God. It was God.
We surrounded ourselves with some great role models. So when you see it, I was listening to something last night and it said kids always want to emulate their parents.
They do.
When you're around people, you want to emulate them.
Yes.
What's I was saying? Birds of the feather stick close, flock together. You emulate what you're around. So we found ourselves having some great role models. I'm talking about some wonderful role models. And so as we start growing and advancing, even through all our missteps and our mistakes and our mess ups, we were able to start emulating and seeing those things.
Yes.
And I want to put a pin right here and just say this. Thank you all for inviting us to this podcast.
Yes, absolutely.
But we do this all the time.
Yeah.
This is what we are. We sit down and we mentor and we talk and we have these discussions. We didn't even look at the questions because it don't matter because we go roll with it. But we do our best work now because somebody showed us.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And we looked at somebody else. And we made our mistakes and we had our flaws and we did those things, but at the same time I remember my grandmother, God rest her, this is just one of them. She told me when we were separated, she said, "Well, Danny, you go get you another one." I said, "Yeah, Grandma, you know me."
Not you know me.
She said, well, let me ask you a question. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, you think you will have some problems with the next one? I said, well, I don't know, Grandma, maybe. She said, no, you will. But this is the question you got to ask yourself. They might be worse or it might be least. You going to roll the dice on that one? I went home.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
So then let me ask you this. Because you said you had people that you had around you that, could mentor. You can emulate the behavior that they had. So it's a little different for us because he's that person. So I guess people, friends, family just kind of emulate what a marriage really means, what it looks like. He did not have the example of such. So he is really more of that for everybody else. So what do you do when you don't have that and you're seemingly people think you're that person? They kind of think that he's that.
The example. You're speaking of the example, right?
So I'm just like, oh, Lord.
Somebody still has to fill your cup. Somebody still has to fill your cup. Did I say full? Fill. Somebody, you still have to get fulfilled somewhere. You can't be the only vessel pouring into people. Somebody has to pour into you. Because if not, you'll be very empty real quick.
And I had to learn that. I learned that from my husband. He taught me that because I too, I'm a nurturer, just by nature. And I don't care who you are. Yeah. I used to think I had this sign that said, "Hey, you got problems? Come to me."
Don't say all the time.
Right. And so, as my husband stated, we have had some marvelous people in our lives and still do. Okay. But we have also become that for others. So he hit the nail on the head. If I can give you one piece of advice, surround yourselves with people that are living like you want to live. And I'm not talking about wearing clothes that you wish you could carry in purse. I'm talking about people living a true life of life. Okay, and what it really should look like. Yeah. And people are there. We're here. So let me say that to the two of you. We're here. Okay? Yeah. And so that's probably been the key factor for our being able to really sustain so many days when it was very hard. Okay? Because even in our separation, I think the most embarrassing part of that was having to face the people that we emulated so much. Oh yeah.
It was a letdown.
Oh my. Oh my. Yes.
And every conversation I had was, this gonna be okay? You all be able to work it out. It was all positive. It was all positive things. But I want to go back and say something that's going to tie into a question that you asked a few minutes ago. But even as you grow in these chapters, you have to cut certain people loose.
Oh.
Once I became married, my single friends, I had to cut loose because I can't stay out all night. I can't run with y'all because y'all doing something totally different than what I do. And then you evolve, and then once again you evolve into something else, and then before you know it, you're like, wow.
But you also become role models for those too. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm a member of a lot of organizations. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta. I never hung out and partied with them. Okay, because I was at home taking care of a family. I had a family to take care of. All my girlfriends, remember, 18 and in college, all of my girlfriends were eating ramen noodles and hanging out all day at the dorms. I never knew what ramen noodles were until my kids came home one day and asked, could they have some? I had never heard of it. Yeah, what are those? Because I was at home making full-fledged meals for my husband. I was being a wife, okay, or what I thought a wife was supposed to do, all right? And so you just have to find the balance. What are your needs? Is Brian providing those needs for you? And if so, then where are the spacers? Okay. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. Yeah. Same here.
Right.
Okay. Same here. And so after my husband said, you need to get your life. Okay. I did. I did. I became so engrossed with my ministry in life, and that's teaching and caring for other people, that I mean, really, he had to say, hey, you got to learn to just kind of sometimes say no, because it became so overwhelming for me. But I understood it later. But it was almost 10 years in the marriage before I really got it. 10 years, yeah.
Wow.
And so, in life, I just kind of see, because I'm so analytical, I just see there's responsibility as it relates to just, God have me responsible for doing certain things as it relates to this marriage. He hold her accountable for doing certain things.
Yes.
For example, you mentioned just financial providing. God holds me accountable that if she wants to work or not, if she decides that she wants to go into the
That's
bank
your
one day and quit,
responsibility.
that falls on me. So I would put that financial part under B level, right? Then as it relates to just making sure my home is in order, I would put that under Shanetta. That doesn't mean that we don't help each other with our responsibilities. Yeah. She might work to help provide the financial. I may help on some part, keeping the house clean. I may do some laundry, but I ultimately see that piece of paper, and we do this thing called life, and we all have jobs, right? And so I was going somewhere. You were talking about just one of the questions that I wanted to ask y'all as it relates to about blending families, right? So you had your son to come, and this is not particular as it relates to the son, but this is talking about like sisters and moms.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys have blended family issues?
No. So when I talk about our son that I met later, I know it was because of the maturity in the marriage that I was able to accept it.
Okay.
Because if it had been the old me, it wouldn't have never. I don't think I could have ever accepted that.
Right.
Ever. So we didn't have those issues, and it's amazing because God used that as well to really bring us into sync on a whole lot of different levels for all of our children.
Right.
Okay. Not just the one that we met, recently, but for the two that we birthed and the one that we raised. It really brought the two of us closer together, because what we learned was now it's just the two of us, because the kids do leave.
Right.
And then it's just the two of you. Then what? Will you all be able to really sit up and look at each other and enjoy that and have conversation and then still be intimate? Okay. And does intimacy always, it doesn't always mean, yum, yum, bounce,
Oochie,
bounce.
oochie, yum,
Oh,
yum,
what?
yeah, right.
Dennis said, oochie, oochie, yum, yum. But and he and I were having this conversation the other night. So I can't sleep under air. He loves air, right? So he'll get up and go in another bedroom. And I said to him, baby, I'm going to need you to get the air fixed, because when you cut the air conditioner on, it doesn't turn off. So I need you to get that switch fixed, because it's separating that intimacy.
Right.
That means the world to me, which is being able to sleep in the same bed with you. Okay. So we have learned how to really come together as one, and we stand together, and we do it against our kids.
Yeah.
We don't care who it is.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
We stand with each other because it's just the two of us in the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you this woman is my best friend. Like, we communicate. I tell her everything. I tell my buddies, if you don't want to know, don't. Because, I mean,
Don't tell me.
I tell everything. Yeah. We talk, we get out of bed in the morning. She talks to me on the way to work. She talks to me on a lunch. We talk on the way home. Because I found out is when we're in the home, we don't really do a lot of communicating.
Sure.
But when we're away, she is my best friend. She is the person that when something great happened to me that I want to tell first. She's also the person that when something pisses me off, I want to tell first.
Absolutely. And that's how it should be.
Yeah. She's always been my best friend. Right? Yeah. Even when you didn't like me, you were still you were still my best friend.
Yeah.
We were friends. We were friends. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I'm joking. Yes.
It's so funny because when we have disagreements, normally I'm right. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness! Listen,
but it's so funny because our children and the 4 children that she birthed, I adopted. And so I had 3 children that I have. So we have a Brady Bunch. Now we got 7 babies. And
did you know Brady Bunch really did start Zoom? I just thought I'd say that.
They did what?
Started Zoom. You remember how they used to?
They
Yeah,
bring
okay.
them
I just wanted to say that.
thought,
I've been wanting
they
to say that to
did.
somebody, but anyway.
They
Okay.
really did. Isn't that something?
it's so funny because it's like
How just things just come full circle. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Right.
Go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
our babies at home is when she goes off the deep end, the babies always kind of side with me because
Oh, my gosh.
I'm normally I am a lot
yeah.
like you, Danny. I'm way laid back and she's a lot like Dovey. She's she's kind of in your
He just needs
face.
to
and-
discipline. He always makes me look like the bad parent. Like I'm always the one.
Here we go.
I
I
get
am
it.
always the
Here we go.
one that I have to give the discipline. I am it. Like,
Oh, I know.
I am just it. I'm
Different
it.
answer because I just believe in different ways to discipline.
And
And
so,
And I just got to say it one time. I'm not going to say it
right.
25 times.
Right.
One.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe that there's
And I
other ways
believe
that you
that.
can discipline
No.
other than jumping up,
No, what I'm saying,
screaming.
I don't do that. I'm just saying, all he has to do, and it's so weird because, especially with our daughters, like all he has to do is just say, "Didn't your mama say stop?" And they be like, It's just the sound of his voice. But I can't even get him to say that. Like just say that part. But we have we're very close with our children, so we have family meetings, right? And so we have these
Oh,
family
my
meetings all the time.
We had those.
In those meetings, it's like they always say we give them an opportunity to be very vocal about what's going on. Let's talk about it. Let's put it on the table. And our kids mock me all the time. They always say, "Mama, when you get mad, you be like." And so I'm always the one being made fun of, and I'm always been the one like, "Okay, Mama, you do trip a lot." I am that person why he
Yes.
just comes out like this Grammy award winning artist. Like he's always just dripping in gold. I'm
I
like,
know.
yeah, I do understand.
And it's because I tell her a lot of times, you have to respect that other people have an opinion, and even though that opinion may be different than yours, it's their opinion.
Well, I'm gonna jump in here and just shine a little light on this. From I ain't gonna talk about nobody else. I'm talking about me and mine.
Right.
I've always been a believer that a man and a woman both have their own lanes when it comes down to children. For example, if my son cuts himself, who you gonna run to first?
His mom.
Right. If my son, somebody picks on him at school, who you gonna come to?
Coming to
first?
daddy.
So it's not something that we make up. It's something that is brought up just from ingraining as a child from birth. The baby cry. Who go first? One go get the baby. I'm gonna let y'all answer that.
Me.
Yeah, okay. When the daddy go get the baby, quit crying. And it's gonna be a different conversation, even as a baby.
That's true.
So when we start looking at the process of what lane we carry, it comes from birth. It comes from in the womb. It comes from so early in life to when now these little monsters are up here, and we still in our lanes, but we forgot how we got in these lanes. So I tell all the time, I respect my wife's lane.
Okay.
I respect my wife's lane. I respect when my son cuts himself, he runs to his mama and she consoles him, even though I might not agree with it. But I have to respect her lane. So then when it comes to my lane, we had to learn this. You have to respect my lane. So when it comes down to
Makes sense.
punishment, when it comes down to doing whatever, my tactic ain't gonna be your tactic. My words are not gonna be your words.
Right.
My hands are not gonna be your hands. So we have to understand that we both got a lane, but we both going the
Same
same way.
direction.
Yeah,
We're going the same way, but I'm gonna respect your lane. Sometimes I bite my tongue. I don't do it that way, but okay, baby, I'm gonna respect your lane on that one. Okay, you wanted to get out. Okay, I'm gonna respect that. Okay, you get out, do what your mama said. we'll come back and we'll reconstruct this later. But it so many relationships, women try to be men try to be women, mama try to be daddy try to be mama, and we have to figure out and respect each other's lane. Because if we don't, we're gonna have a wreck.
Yeah, that's true.
And then the kids end up going to somebody else, and we really gotta.
You really have a
they're
wreck.
That 100% finna go to this
Absolutely.
kid because they out there like, okay, I want to get started on that. Yeah.
Well, tell them what else I used to say about our kids, especially our daughter. What was my motto
Which one?
about the pole?
You go ahead.
I used to tell him, if our daughter becomes a pole dancer, that's
It's
your
my
fault.
Oh, she's
Because
spoiled.
she should learn
She's the only girl.
and know
And she's
what
spoiled.
love feels like from a man by examples of her dad. Okay? And I held him to that all of her life, even to now. Yeah. So I'm a firm believer in that.
That's what we say, too. He tells the girls pretty often, especially our older girl. It's like, listen, I don't want these young guys feeling like, I want you to understand whatever I get, which is I think it's such a bad thing. He always says, tell these little knucklehead boys that, you ain't my daddy. I got my daddy. And I'm
ain't
like,
what
can
I
you
said.
stop?
What you
What
say,
do
bro?
Tell these niggas.
My daddy can do this. I don't need you to do this. My daddy.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, you just listen. You
I
have
don't
to.
want
I
I don't
am-
want my girls dating for financial.
Absolutely. So even with our daughter, like we started buying her jewelry, okay? Because I don't want you to just lose your mind because somebody
Right.
show you a promise ring. You know what I'm saying?
And
So-
I think a lot of times also, my conversations with my kids are very different life experience conversations than my wife's.
Lord, yes.
She can't tell the stories I can tell.
Absolutely.
But I told all my kids the same stories. My daughter, my son. I can't, because you can't. This day and time, you can't sugarcoat it.
No.
So once again, it's we going down the street, we going together, but it's not gonna be the same. It's not gonna be the same.
So I know we've been sitting here a minute, and I know you all said that it's a live interaction. Do we have some questions from
So,
the
not much, but they've been letting you talk. Bustin' Loose 2 on Instagram asked what's the topic. Bustin' Loose 2's, we're talking to the Burls, who's been married for 33 years, and we're just talking about the ins and outs of the relationship. We're having a series for the next 3 or 4 weeks just talking to just different people, married people, single people. And so the Burls have been together from Pine Bluff and not from Pine Bluff. They live in Pine Bluff, but we're just talking about the marriage. Pink Dog 13 said, do you guys feel that your spouse has to be your best friend?
Well,
No, I don't feel like he must or have to be my best friend. But it certainly is an additive, an
Right.
enhancement to the marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Danny, you feel like Dovey has to be your best friend?
No, I don't feel as though she has to be my best friend. She has to be the best she can be for me, and I need to be the best I can be for her. When you start talking about best friend, I thought about who's my best friend. I mean, wow, best friend from high school, best friend from. I mean, best friends change.
they do.
Yeah.
They do. Absolutely.
We are a team,
Yes.
and we are a team to win it. Sometimes, so depends on what your definition of best friend is. I mean, she's my all,
Yeah.
And you're my all too, baby.
Aw.
and
That's so
at the
sweet.
end of the day, I tell people all this all the time. You know who that person is when you get ready to lay down, and you look beside you. Who you want beside you? Okay,
Yes.
See?
that's the real deal.
Marriage is not for the weak. I think somebody told us that before. Your uncle told us that in our premarital.
Yes.
It is not for the weak. Let
Yes.
me just say
Yeah.
that. It is
That's-
not.
that-
And,
that's
and
the
I
real
also
deal.
tell my singles friend, if you do not like to work,
Don't get married.
don't get married.
Oh, yeah.
It is definitely work.
Because it's work.
Most definitely, each and every day.
Every
It
day.
is work.
Every day.
What do you guys feel like is the biggest challenge to
You
to
didn't answer his question. Do you think that your spouse has to be your best friend?
No, I don't think I agree with them. I don't think that they have to. I think,
be my best
like
friend.
Dovey said, you know, you just happen to be my best friend. But no, I don't think that's a must.
It's a requirement.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know.
You
I
don't
mean,
know.
we do everything together, so it's different for you and I because
Yeah.
I always wanted a woman that I could do everything with.
we do everything together.
Absolutely.
I can go out with my woman. I can. She's very versatile. I can
Yes.
do I don't have to ever worry about having company going somewhere.
Yes.
I can take her to down to the juke joint
Yes.
and eat some fish. I can take her to my corporate dinner.
Yes.
This is
You go to the gun range where our first date
yeah.
was.
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
I
Weird.
could take this
Absolutely.
woman anywhere. I don't have to worry about that. I used to before I was married, I used to see couples go out, and I thought that was just so sexy to have
Absolutely.
bring your girl to the
Have a good
to the
time.
party
Absolutely.
with you.
Absolutely.
So we didn't do Facebook. Let me do that. So Nathaniel Baker, he just gave the
Hi,
heart
Nathaniel.
emojis, and he said, "Shout out to my people, the Burls, Toom Toom, Danny Burrow."
Hey.
Tum Tum, that nickname. Tum Tum.
And then let's see, Humble Danny says, "Come on," and she says, "Balance" as well. She said, and then Charles says, "My people, Levin and Netta." He said, "I agree, sir. Respect is the key." He's also said, let's see, "Yes, it is work level. Marriage is definitely work." And then Sahaja Wynn says, "I'm thinking about marriage in 2 years with my partner, but I'm scared, honestly." Why are you scared? Give us a little bit more insight on that. And then Charles says, "Me too level. Mine's my best friend. Also, we do everything together." So yeah, give us a little bit more insight on your marriage and what are you afraid of?
Were you guys afraid to get married?
Oh no, I was so
Danny,
excited.
were you?
You ready?
No. I it was a series of things that happened, and I tell my son this right now. You'll know when it's time. You'll know when it's time. You know you're tired of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that life, and you will know when it's time. So, she went home for the summer, and I missed her, and I knew it was time.
And that comes with maturity too. Like people,
Yeah.
I tell women and guys all the time, different guys get to that point at different times.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Sure.
Absolutely.
You know, some people get there when they're 23. Some people get there when they're 33. So they get there at different times. I knew that this woman, we only dated 6 months, but we had both been married before. We didn't have to waste a lot of time knowing that's what we wanted to do. I used to have a woman for this, and this, and when I found all of that in one woman.
Absolutely.
Like I can get a woman for this, she could be this, and she could be this. There wasn't, in the past, there wasn't a woman that could satisfy me in 3 or 4 different areas. So I had to have 3 or 4 different women
Understood.
until I met this woman, and she was able to be all those things in one.
Yes.
I met her, and we, from the day I met her, we never spent a night apart other than traveling when I was out of town and she was out of town. But I knew right away, like you said, you know.
You know.
Oh, for sure.
You just know.
Yeah.
Pink Dog 13 said, "I've been married for 10 years. I feel I shouldn't.
I feel like I should have been scared.
I should have been scared."
No.
No, Kevin, don't say that. What do you mean? Kevin, don't say that. Like, do not say that. You have to read the whole statement so they can. He says, read the whole statement. He said, "I've been married 10 years. I feel like I should have been scared." Why do you? Why? Like,
You feel like you should have been scared. I don't know.
I'm thinking what he's saying is that he probably wouldn't have gotten married.
So what do you guys feel is the biggest challenge
Oh,
to stay married?
Oh, you mean now?
staying married.
What's your biggest challenge?
We
You don't have any challenges?
We do not.
And after being married, I think you started on this. How do you keep the marriage fresh? How do you keep it? 33 years
How
is
do
a
you
long
keep the
time.
music playing?
How do you keep?
The
Okay,
butterflies
so you
when you
wanna
see
know?
them and stuff.
You wanna know how you keep the music playing?
Yes.
Keep dancing together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally. I love to dance with him, and he knows this. And so sometimes he will put on my favorite music, and when we dance, it just takes me there.
Oh.
It's the moment for me. And I tell him all the time, I don't ever want to stop having those moments. We we don't have challenges now. I mean, we just do not.
And why do you think you don't?
Because we have done all the stuff. We've raised our children. We've gone through our careers. We have matured in our respect and in our relationship and marriage. We understand each other more. And I don't focus on anything that deals with the past. That those memories kind of faded away like a misty rain.
Oh.
Okay. I only focus on now. And if it's not pertaining to now, I don't go back there. I don't do that. Because I keep wanting to get to up there where we haven't been.
And I think also we choose to have peace.
Intentionality. It's
We
intentional.
intentionally choose to have
Yeah.
peace. So,
Yeah.
you know, when you come, stated earlier, we're professionals now. You know, we getting ready to go to the Hall of Fame because at the end of the day, we played the game, we won, and I think, you know, we are now able to share our experiences with other people.
Yeah.
Some of them haven't been pretty, but we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Has it been challenging? Yes. Is it work? Most definitely.
Yes.
Have we always agreed? No. But now at this stage in our life, year 33, my year 58 and her year 53, we look at it from a different lens.
Yeah.
Things can happen now that 25 years ago probably would have turned us upside down.
Yes.
And now we,
Yeah.
how we gonna fix that? What we gonna do? Okay, let's move forward. You know, it's not a big panic. It's not a big whatever. And so we choose to have peace.
Yeah. How important is communication?
Communication is everything.
Yeah.
Very
got
much so.
Without communication, you already lost. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, you already lost the game if you can't communicate.
Yeah.
Communication is everything.
Yes.
But then I also want to put on that you also got to communicate the good with the bad and the ugly. You know, you can't be afraid to not say what's on your mind.
And communication is more than lip service and talking. You've got to learn how to read body language. You've got to learn how to read moods. Okay, hellos.
Yeah, because some mornings I get up, hey baby.
I mean, it's the hellos. It's yeah, it's all of that. Okay, but all of that is communication.
Not a morning person.
Yeah, so
You know, I hear people say you never go to bed mad. Is that
That's
a
a
rule?
lie.
Do y'all, I mean, after 33 years, it's probably hard to never go to bed mad at each other.
I don't
right?
go to
mean,
bed
there've been
mad
times
anymore.
that
But
you-
now that through this 33 years, yes, I went to bed mad a lot of days.
do you find like sometimes it's too heated that you could leave it alone and come back and discuss it when it's not? Is that something that you guys practice?
You know what happened? The older I got, if I got heated, sickness came behind it. And it was a message to me. It's not worth it. It's not worth for you to go all there. Shanetta, I say a lot.
I do.
And I
It's
don't.
okay.
I,
not worth
Yeah,
it. When you
yeah,
say wait, Debbie, say that one more time. It's not. It's
it-
not worth it to go.
It's not.
I
It's
have
not at the
calmed
end
down
of the
a
day.
whole
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
I have to tell her,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah. So
Like, we don't do high-speed pursuits and stuff no more. We don't do that. I'm threatening to
Shanetta.
shoot you. And
But I tell her
I
nothing
do
is
too.
nothing is
I'm
worth
threatening to
burning.
shoot you anymore or anything. Like, we can keep loaded guns in the house and everything
Yeah,
now.
understood.
Like,
Yeah.
I will tell you, Dan, it was rough these 7 years. But you know what I always prayed? I always prayed that God,
see, I'm changed.
please turn her into the wife that you want her to be for me and vice versa for me. Turn me into the husband that you want me to be for her.
So let me tell you a secret. What I started doing
Yeah.
when those heated moments, and I saw her going there, I would just shut down because this can be continued later.
Yeah.
We don't have to put an
Did
exclamation
that not make it
mark.
worse?
Oh.
No,
Not for him,
no.
for me. But,
But,
Yeah.
but
Not
because
for
no,
me.
it didn't
I'm
make
just
it
being
worse
honest.
because sometimes you pour fuel on the fire. Sometimes then you'll say something that you shouldn't say. So I found out by learning and understanding my woman and what flash words take her places, I learned not to use those flash words. What things I could say that would shoot her over the moon, I learned not to do that. Then it became a way of me just saying, okay, I hear you, and we can talk about this later.
But baby, haven't I gotten better over the 33 years?
So how did that affect you when he shut down? How did that? How did you handle
For
that?
a long time, it didn't affect me. And then when I realized, again, just learning who he really is and respecting him for who he is, the man he is, in 33 years, this man has never called me out of my name. He has never cursed me. He has never said, if he don't call me Dovey or baby or something sweet, he doesn't say it. That wasn't me.
Me neither.
Okay,
Not me
I'm just being honest.
No,
So one day, you know what? I was having a conversation with my mother, and I said just what I just shared with you all, and something just hit me. Like, why do I go there with him? Because he doesn't do that to me, and I don't know what I would do if he did that to me.
What'd you come up with?
Stop doing that to him, because he deserves to be more respected by me as his wife. Really. And so I really had to learn to.
Does that just come with maturity?
It does.
Okay.
It does. And it did.
See, because if I go back to our chapter 10,
Yeah,
yes, chapter 10 was challenging.
it was.
Very challenging.
Yeah.
We were still pitch machine players, you know. It was very challenging.
Like, I went up in the church one day, like, no, get off the drums. Yeah.
We gonna have this conversation. I'm like,
Yeah,
we playing Jesus saved it all. What are you doing?
Okay, I've never taken it to the church.
okay.
I've never taken it to the church.
I'm just keeping it
Taking
100.
everywhere else except the church.
Brian
Everywhere
told us to be honest, so I'm being
Everywhere
totally
except the
honest.
church. Everywhere except the church.
So that means if you know she
Yeah.
took it to the church, she took it
Listen.
everywhere else. too.
I didn't care where it was.
I'm like,
Wait, you asked him to get off the drums?
what are you? What?
The pastor came out the pulpit. David, not now. I said, not now, then when? Okay. No, we gonna have this conversation today. But anyway.
What are you laughing at? He's not laughing because
Yeah, I'm just
this
saying.
is what. And here's what I used to tell my husband. Like one day he said, "I want to ask you something." I said, "Okay."
Listen to this, Danny. Listen to this.
We were traveling, going out of town someplace, and we were just having like truthful conversation. He's like, "Listen, I want to ask you something." I said, "Okay, you know what's."
And before
what
you
is
say
it?"
that, I'm exactly like you. I get to a
Yes.
point where
He
it's not
shuts
worth
down.
it. I just shut it down.
Okay.
But as I went down, she went up.
Yeah. The calmer he is, the more it elevates mine. But anyway,
Okay, go ahead,
he said, he said, I want to ask you something. I want you to tell me, your thoughts. And I was like, okay, no problem. And he said, do you really think you can beat me up? Like, do you really think you can take me? And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, listen, like when you get mad, like you just don't see your husband. Like when you get mad, you just see like red, black. And I told him, I said, listen, when I have those moments, I'm not looking at the person that's before me. I'm thinking of the thing that got me here. So I'm not thinking this is my husband, don't spaz out. I'm just thinking like, let me grab you because you just said and or did something that's really just frustrated me. So no, I don't think about that. But I have really kind of,
Yeah.
I'm calmer,
Well,
right?
but yeah, and you are. I'll say that you are. What has gotten you there? You think it's just mature, just time?
I think it's just, a couple of things. First of all, we have daughters. So, that's one thing. I don't want my daughters to feel that because they mock me. Like y'all, they mock me in that. Like, and so that really kind of just, I don't want that to be the image of their mother. I don't want them to feel like that's okay to do as a woman, as a wife, just kind of stepping out of control of that. And outside of that, I'd say all the time, I'm raising my daughters to be someone's wife, and I'm raising my son to be someone's husband. So I don't want my son, in retrospect, to feel like a woman could just jump up in his face and do. So it's just that the image that is going to be to my children was like, okay, yeah, I have to really kind of stop that. Outside of that is that I do get outside of myself when that happens. I'm not really necessarily, I'm myself, but I'm not really myself. So I'm like, listen, somebody can get hurt. There have been instances when it could, but I just don't think. So now I'm just like I guess like, is it really worth it?
Yeah.
Is it really worth it?
But that's caused by something else. Okay. So my parents they had this kind of relationship. Richard Pryor used to say, and excuse the language, he used to say, I'm in love with a bitch I can't stand. Okay.
Right.
That's a whole lot of relationships. Okay.
Right.
So that's kind of the relationships I saw growing up in my household.
Okay.
And so I was just for sure I was never going to be that way, right? But I had to realize when you asked me what changed it. He's not my dad. He's not my mom and dad's relationship.
Right.
He's not what I saw. I never understood how my dad could love his girls so much. But the woman who gave you what you love so much was that person that you were in love with that you couldn't stand. Okay. And so I took on this persona of, I'll never allow for anyone to put their hands on me. Okay. Or talk to me crazy.
Yeah, so do I.
But I began to express it as if he was what I saw growing up, if that makes sense. And so when I really realized that's not who he is, I had to really deal with me. Okay.
And so when I start seeing her go on those out of person experiences, the she's turned into something I don't quite understand.
Baby, you making me sound like I'm an alien.
No, you just explained it
Just
yourself.
transform. Right? Different.
So I got two choices. Yeah. I can push the button, and I got some words that can push the button.
Right.
And that's gonna take up here. Year 7, 8, 9, I push those buttons.
Yeah, a lot.
What you gonna do? Push, 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 push.
Oh, goodness.
Hit the red button. But as I grew older, you know what, Danny? We're not going there. Okay, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay. I'm not gonna push those buttons.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we are, because at least now I'm like, I kind of know that if I just chill and don't fall into the traps that she set for me, then over time.
But watch this. She don't even know she set the trap.
No.
Oh, no.
They having an out of body experience.
Yeah, it's different.
So you gonna figure it out that she don't even know what she don't even know what she doing. She really don't even know what she's saying. So tomorrow when we have this conversation, baby,
Sometimes I'll be so ashamed the next day.
Right. I ain't say that.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, you did. But that's all right, because I'm not going to even bring it back up.
Yeah.
Now we can have the conversation. It might be 2 days. It might be 3 days. We're not going back there. But the part I want you to hear, and I want y'all to hear, is what she just said. She's gone. It's out of. So she don't. So when you look at it that way, you gonna look. Now, why you smiling? Because you know what I'm saying. 'Cause, hey, Danny? Why you smiling? Because I know you having an out of body experience. I already know you going on one.
That is way worse. That is way worse. Don't ignore.
Say Bustin' Loose 2 said that's hilarious. Not the drums, though. Come off the drums. Like right here.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Bustin' Loose 2 also said, we've been married for 29 years. We be 30 years, and we keep God first in our marriage.
Congratulations.
You've got a couple Facebook.
So let's see. So Sahadra, we asked her why was she afraid of getting married to her partner. She said because I don't want to fail. I don't want a divorce. I love her so much and her kids. I'm gonna expound on that shortly. Ernessa, that's my cousin. Ernessa says, perfect prayer. She says great advice. Wow. This is what I'm talking about. She said respect, and Candace says she loves this dialogue. Ernessa says, yes, we have to definitely watch that and be examples for our children. She said, oh, you're saying something right now. You're not my mom or my dad. This is great.
Yeah.
So I always tell people that things are kind of be done two different ways. So I had a very rough upbringing. I had a rough upbringing. And so in my upbringing, I was the person to say that I promised not to allow my kids to not to go through not even a third of what I went through as a child in the home. So it has a lot to do with how I want to shape and mold them. So that's got to be one of the two. You're either going, that's the example that you have when you're growing up. So you're going to be one of the two. You're either going to emulate that, or you're going to try to be the opposite of such. So, and this is something that I did not share with you. So I think things happen just in the times they're supposed to happen. So, I guess about 2 weeks ago, my husband lost one of his very dearest friends. He lost his best friend, and he and his wife have been married 17 years. They've been together
almost 20.
They've been together, married 17 years, and he had leukemia. He was diagnosed with leukemia, I think, in 2013. He kind of went into remission with it, I guess, for a couple of years. And so he got sick and ended up passing away. And so at the beginning, not the beginning of their marriage, but at the beginning of our marriage, me and his wife became really good friends. And Brian, when I kind of found out that he passed away, it was difficult. Nevertheless, this is what I got from that. And so, sometimes I think, just people passing, just different situations, or prayers are just answered just in different, not saying his death was a prayer answer, but him passing away was a message to me in learning to really kind of appreciate my spouse so much more. Since his passing, my affection, I've been more affectionate to him, and just, hey, I love you, out of nowhere. And I even sent him a text like, listen, let's not spend our time with these little spats that we're having because of that reason. So she and I kind of rekindled our friendship, and I was just talking to her about having to face that. So that's something I don't want to, I know we're all going to go there. We all have to do it. He's going to either bury me or I'm going to bury him. But I don't want to spend the time thinking shoulda, woulda, coulda, or could I really been spending that time we're arguing over you didn't bake the chicken right with loving on him more. And so since that, I have really just kind of been more into my husband, just who he is and what he's about and what we're doing in our marriage, because I just can't really fathom losing a spouse. So that for me, may sound crazy for some, but that for me was really like a wake up call. Like,
it was a blessing in disguise, is what it was. And so I was sitting on the couch one day. My husband had slept a little longer than he normally does, and all kinds of things just start going through my head. What would I do without him? And I kept thinking I would be totally lost, because I have spent my whole life just about with him. Okay. I make it a habit to really compliment him on the things he does well. He says he does all things well, but I'll be complimenting him all day. But I make it a habit to really compliment him and appreciate him on the things he does well, because we can get in the habit of talking about all the things we don't like. Okay. So I focus on those things he does well. And I have learned to lovingly express my sentiments if there are things that I didn't particularly care for. Okay. We have this thing we laugh about. I always tell him that my code word for him when he's kind of going there, my word is ouch. 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 So when he was a warden, and working every day, and he would come home, I would say to him, babe, hey, you ain't talking to no inmates.
Right.
Bring that on down. Right? Okay. But the other thing that I told him was that you can absolutely not give the best of you to the world and everybody else and come home empty to me.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I think that started a whole new revolution for he and I. Okay. To really begin to hone in on our love and our marriage, our likeness, our quality time, the things that that bring us joy. He loves to garage sale on Saturdays. I never liked that. But because it's like the highlight of our romance on Saturdays, I get up and go with him now, right? Because that's the intimate moment that we share now. And they're different than what they used to be. Okay. So as your children grow, as they move out of the nest and the two of you continue to mature on the playing field, in the end, it'll be just the two of you, okay? And I've said this in the podcast earlier, but I want to go back to it again. And you've got to know that without a shadow of a doubt, that what you've been feeling these 2 weeks, that's how you're going to be for the rest of your life. Okay? You got to know that you're still going to be there 33 years later. Okay? I don't know what I would do without him. I really don't.
Yeah.
Because he has been, we're one. Okay? Truly. And we have learned what that means. Yeah. And everything we've been through in our lives, it was for now, right now. Right now. Yeah. I have the best husband I think anybody could ever ask for. I do. And I'm so grateful. So
That's sweet. That's
So we've
fairy
got
tale
a little
stuff.
time left, and so Netta, is there anything that you want to cover before I ask the last question? I mean, is there anything you want to ask the Burls or?
No, I'm just soaking it all in for sure.
No, this is actually therapy.
Yes, for sure.
You know,
definitely so.
no one emulates other marriages, but I do agree. We did have a couple that we hung around, the Williams, right? When we first got married,
Yeah.
that you know we wanted to try to be like, and I think that we are now becoming that, like. In us practicing this thing called marriage, people are now saying, okay, they halfway got it together. Let's. We've got about 10 minutes left, and so my question to you: if someone is struggling about if they should get married, somebody's married and they're thinking that I don't know if I can do this anymore.
No, she said she's afraid to get married because
Someone's afraid to get married.
she doesn't want a divorce.
Yeah.
She
You
doesn't
can't
want
go
to
in.
like she
You
failed.
can't even begin to go into a marriage feeling that way because
Yeah.
you've already failed.
Yeah.
You absolutely cannot.
You think marriage counselor? You should go through marriage counseling.
Have we ever gone through marriage counseling, babe? Well, I think he went one day and he said he wasn't going
I've
back
always
again.
been your
A
counselor.
year. Okay.
It stops here. It stops there. That's it.
But let me just say this: we had a friend that we have friends of the family that we were on the gazebo one day talking, and he said the same thing. He was afraid to get married,
Yeah.
and I never asked the question, "Why are you afraid?" But when somebody's afraid, that means they generally have a fear of doing something.
Yeah.
Everybody sitting here, when it's your first time you got in the car to drive, you probably were afraid to drive, and now you're speeding, you say, and running folks off the road. And when the first time you went to first grade, you were afraid to go in that classroom because all afraid is the unexpected. And hopefully, when you find that person that you want to try to spend the rest of your life with, you do some groundwork.
Yeah.
And if you do some groundwork, what I mean by groundwork, that's what dating is for. That's why you go in the house and you look in the closet and make sure that dirty clothes are not piled up to the roof, because you know right then, no, I'll holler at you later. You go meet his mama. You go meet her daddy. You go meet the family. This the family you come from. Okay, well maybe. So you want to do your groundwork, and some of those fears will start leaving, because once you start knowing a person, let me put that in parentheses. Once you start to know a person and get to know a person, some of those fears will leave. And like you all said, y'all knew what y'all wanted in 6 months. It wasn't because y'all knew what y'all wanted in 6 months. It's because you had a guide that you had already been through. So you knew some of the things that you wasn't going to do and what you were going to do. But if this is this young lady's first time, you don't have that guide. So it might take you 60 months to figure out if this is the person. All I say is don't rush into it. But you'll know. And the thing that you're afraid of will soon leave once you start doing your groundwork, and pray about it.
Yeah. This is one question I do want to ask, because I think Brian and I we're getting there. We're almost there. Was there something or someone that made you guys just be in solidarity with each other, just the two of you? just stand as one. Was there a situation? Was there a person? What was it that made you guys know that you were just in solidarity with each other?
For me, I'm going to answer this question first. For me, it was with, several things, but for me, when I knew it was just me and her against the world, the kids were gone. It was just me and her, and we would get up in the morning, and that's the first face I would see in the morning, and that's the last face I see at night. And I don't remember what happened. Something happened. I don't remember what it was, but we had the conversation that, you know what, something internal happened in the family. And we had the conversation that, you know what, you all I got, and I'm all you got.
Yeah.
Right.
And at the end of the day, we go stand. And it's us against everybody else. And that night, I knew it was just me and her. Because at the end of the day, kids make their own decisions. Kids grown.
Absolutely.
Families make their own decisions. They're but something happened. I can't put my finger on it. Maybe she can. But she was crying, and I'm like, hey, no more tears. This is your house. This is our house. We're not gonna let anybody infiltrate these walls and cause any pain or any discomfort or any dis-ease. So no, it's me and you.
Yeah. That was perhaps the first time in my life that I'd ever spoken to my mom truthfully about how I was made to feel, about her feelings about my dad. And that's what it was.
Okay.
And when you came home, I was crying about it. And that's he did. He said that. He said, you don't ever have to feel uncomfortable or out of place because it's the two of us. And so, I heard you all last week when you talked about the Bible says that when you get married, you forsake all others. And that is such a true testament of what we have learned in our marriage. Because at the end of the day, it is just the two of us. We have forsaken all others. But guess what? All others will forsake you too.
They will.
Okay? So you better stand with the one God gave you.
Right.
Okay. That's my closing advice to you.
That works for me.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for spending a Tuesday evening with us.
Absolutely.
I knew that this podcast would run over, and my wife gets very long-winded.
You don't understand these seeds that were planted.
Yes.
Understand this.
And
so everybody's just been on watching. So everybody's been saying it's been great.
It's been
Good content.
very enjoyable, and we couldn't have picked a better
absolutely
couple
not.
to kick off this series. And how can I get it if somebody wants to? Your social media, y'all want to shout out your social medias?
Oh yeah, I'm just Facebook. WD
Facebook?
Burl.
Okay.
Yeah.
I ain't on Twitter, but there you go.
So just Danny Burls on Facebook.
Yes.
All right. So if you would like to be a guest, just send an email to stewart.lovewins@gmail.com, or you can inbox my wife, Shanetta Stewart, inbox myself. We are looking for a couple that have dated for a while, all right, but have not decided to get married. We would like to talk to you. If you guys know anybody that have dated over 10 years and they've made the choice not to get married, either because they're afraid or they don't want to or they don't have plans getting married, we would like to talk to them, right, babe? So just inbox myself, which is Brian Stewart or Shanetta Stewart. Now, Shanetta, if they want to hear this podcast, we're asking you, how do they see the podcast?
Everybody's coming on now. So any podcast channel, so Google, Anchor, Apple, any podcast channel, station, app, you can find Loved Ones by the Stewarts. And then YouTube, this video, the audio, video, visual is on YouTube. I'm Brian Stewart Sr. And so I didn't tell you guys, but okay, this is my notification. So normally every season we do a live panel. where typically we do like a reunion show, basically everyone that we've had on there for the season. So if you guys would come back and be a part of our live panel, because now everybody wants to come on and ask all these questions. No, because let me tell y'all something. Y'all 2 hours late. No, I'm joking. It's okay.
And so the live deal is actually here. It's
Yes.
normally on the other side. It's
on the
normally,
stage.
you know, 3 or 4 other couples. It's just open dialogue.
Wonderful.
It's live. People can come, sit in the audience. They're asking questions. It's like Shanetta said, it's the reunion, and we normally end our season that way.
Great.
Yes,
Beautiful.
but it's no other. I mean, for me, there's no other way to do it. But I mean, this season I'd have you guys on because, as I said, Brian and I kind of started this podcast because we had this Christmas party and we had about 8 couples. Some were married, some were not. But we played these games and having conversations. And we found out that 98% of the things that he and I had been through, someone else is going through, but people are so afraid to share their story, what they're dealing with and going through, just kind of just embarrassment or just because they don't want people to know, whichever it was. So we decided to do this because of that reason. So we don't proclaim to know everything. However, we talk about our experiences, and that's why we bring guests like you guys on the show. You can give a more broader perspective. So if you guys would join us on the live panel, give people an opportunity to get the golden nuggets that we've received tonight that you guys will not get on this live feed. You have to go listen to it again.
Thank you guys for being so
We
transparent.
would love to. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I appreciate it so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you all so much for inviting us. It has been a pleasure.
Oh, no problem. It is amazing. I can't wait to watch it again. I
So-
have to watch it tomorrow while I'm at work.
So we're going to have them back on the reunion,
Yes,
right?
we do the live.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do the live session.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you heard it from the wife. They say a happy wife makes you a happy life.
Yeah.
And I think we'll end right there.
All right.
Thank you guys so much.
See you next week.
Thank you all so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Peace.